This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And we're back for another edition of the Onside Kick right here on Most Valuable Podcast, your one-stop shop for all the best news and analysis in the world of the NFL. And it's Super Bowl week, Mark. We are finally here. The season is over.
Yep.
Our season is officially going to be over after this Sunday. We got two teams left. We got the Eagles. We got the Patriots. We're going to be previewing the Super Bowl today, and then we're also going to be taking a look. The Colts are probably going to hire Josh McDaniels as their head coach, so we're going to look ahead at that hiring, and then also we're going to dive into the NFL draft and look at best fits for Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen. But before we get started, a little housekeeping here at the beginning of the podcast. Number one, if you like what we're doing, love the podcast, make sure to check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast, link down below in the description. Number two, if you want to buy an MVP t-shirt, make sure to check the description as well. All the information to get yourself an MVP t-shirt is down below in that description. Number three, if you're on iTunes, have an iTunes account, make sure to go and give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. And last but not least, if you have not already, make sure to go check out mostvaluablepodcast.com, bookmark it so you never miss anything from Most Valuable Podcast. But Mark, let's jump in. Let's talk about this Super Bowl. And this is a Super Bowl where actually also, you know what next week is then, our official...
It's us.
The show anniversary.
Yeah, the anniversary.
It's the anniversary of the Onside Kicks. So this is the last show that we will have for our year, and then a new one starts for the Onside Kick next week. But coming into the biggest game here in Minnesota, Super Bowl LII, what are your thoughts heading into this game as we're sitting here on Monday night?
It's an interesting one. We talked about last week if the Eagles even have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the Eagles, if Nick Foles has
could
a chance.
Overcome Tom Brady.
And I know I brought up this point before, and I want to harp on it again because I think this is really the best chance for the Eagles, or the best case for the Eagles. It's that if you were able to beat the best team, or maybe not the best team because people are going to get down on Case Keenum, but if you're able to beat the best defense in the NFL, you can go against the Patriots defense, which is a good defense, but you can go against them. You've already gone against the defense that is better. You can do this one. The hard thing really is just, I know you're going to bring up not making mistakes, but you have to take advantage of every opportunity you get. You really need to score often. John Madden's here. Score often, because Tom Brady will score a lot probably against you. He will. It's really hard to stop Tom Brady. It's really hard to trick him, to kind of outsmart him. You don't have those advantages. So he will go out there and he will score a lot of points. Nick Foles needs to be able to do that too, but like I said, they already beat the Vikings. I feel confident that they're able to do that. It's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to come out there and say it's just a blowout. The Eagles are going to get completely destroyed against the Patriots.
I could see it.
I
don't think so, but I could see it.
I think this will be a much better game than a lot of people want to give credit for, and want to give the Eagles credit for, because it's really not. These teams match up better than most people would think they do.
Well, to me, it depends on, first off, for the Eagles side, it depends on, for the offense, what kind of an offense do we see? Are we going to see an offense that we saw at home against the Falcons, where you only scored 15 points, and I believe all those were on field goals? Or are we going to see what we saw in the NFC Championship game, where you put up 38 points and you did it scoring touchdowns, taking advantage of turnovers that your defense got for you? And to me, the biggest thing is, like you said, making everything from every opportunity that you have. You're right. And if you get a turnover, or if you give a turnover up, if you give Tom Brady extra chances, he will hurt you. It's kind of like, it makes me think of what Brandon said when we were watching the end of the BCS National Championship game, where he said in 1 year, Georgia and the Atlanta Falcons, or the state of Georgia, let the Patriots and Alabama hang in the game too long, And those are the two teams you don't want to do that. You made that mistake. Georgia made it twice in 1 year. The Eagles can't do that. The Eagles, to me, the defense has to come out, pressure Tom Brady. Pressure, because Julian Edelman's not playing this game. He hasn't played any game this year. And Gronk is questionable. Now, do I expect Gronk to play?
I fully expect
he's
him to be
going
out
to
there.
play.
Yeah.
However, if he does play, is he going to be 100%? Is he just going to be out there because it's like, I'm not missing the Super Bowl kind of a thing? And for the Patriots, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, this team has the blueprint to win any Super Bowl that they are in. The only Super Bowls that they have lost are against the Giants, and let's be completely honest. The first one was they lost because of a freak catch by David Tyree that put them in a situation, them being the Giants, to win that game. And then in the second one they lost to the Giants, Tom Brady had a Hail Mary opportunity, could have hit Gronk for a jump ball in the end zone. Gronk catches that ball, which it was very close to being. That's a different outcome as well. So in every single Super Bowl that the Patriots have been in, they've played close Super Bowls, and they've only lost 2 that were really close games.
I think we got to be fair to the Eagles when we're talking about the Giants, and just put it out there that, I don't know, could be an NFC East thing.
You think so?
Could be. Just NFC East teams can beat the Patriots.
To put that to bed, the Eagles didn't beat the Patriots the last time they played them in the Super Bowl.
But Eli didn't start it. Eli started the curse. And now the NFC East curse is here. It is real. It's alive.
Or it's only the Giants or Tom Coughlin teams.
Yeah, too bad the Jaguars couldn't do it. So Tom Coughlin thing, that's ruled out.
Some people think the refs kind of screwed him there. So
yeah, people like to say that a lot about the Patriots. I think that these are interesting teams because you have a really good running game in Philadelphia versus one of the best passing games here in New England. The passing stats for the Eagles are a little skewed because of Carson Wentz. That's not their quarterback right now. But it's very interesting that you have two teams that don't let other teams, or two defenses that don't let other teams score a lot of points on them. When on the flip side, they score more points than almost anybody, both these two teams. So they're both very similar in that sense. If Philadelphia is going to win this game, I think they got to do two things. One, you said, of course, pressuring Tom Brady. You got to get that pass rush onto Tom Brady. When teams have been best against Tom Brady, it's because he has no time to throw the ball. Really simple, right? Unfortunately, actually doing it is not that simple. Now, the other thing they got to be able to do, this run game has to be great for Philadelphia. This has to be an amazing running attack. Doesn't matter. I don't care who's got the ball in their hands. They got to do a great job because they need to control drives for Philly. They need to control drives in Minnesota in order to actually win this game. Because if you put it all on Nick Foles, I feel like he might crack. I feel like the pressure might get to him. I feel like he might be more likely to make a mistake. And, you know, I'm saying that about a guy who just had a near perfect game against Minnesota. But I think he will, if it's all on him, I think he might end up making a mistake, and that'll be too costly.
Well, the thing that I liked that they did against Minnesota, well, I didn't like it because it was against Minnesota, but I like it now is talking about the Eagles.
After you wiped away the tears.
For Nick Foles, well, yeah, there were tears. But for Nick Foles, I liked how on offense, early on in the game, let's get him some easy throws, build that confidence. The Vikings did the same thing with Case Keenum. Let's build the confidence a little bit, get the confidence going. Then later on in the game, this is now going more so to Doug Peterson and this coaching staff. You got to pick your chances because the Eagles can't play this game safe. You're in the Super Bowl. You're probably this is a moment that should be cherished. And I'm going to get to that for the fan side for Philadelphia in a second. But for the players and for the coaches, don't be afraid to take chances just because you're in the Super Bowl. Like the one that I'm thinking about is the play where Alshon got free. Nick Foles hit him for a wide open touchdown. That was a huge momentum swing in that game against Minnesota. This is one where if you have that chance against, to me, I'm going to say a weaker defense because The Patriot defense is nothing like what the Vikings were this whole season. The Vikings just had their worst game at the worst possible time. But the one interesting thing that I read 4 days ago that Colin Cowherd posted that's completely true when you think about it with the Eagles is he put Philadelphia was rudderless 2 years ago. No quarterback, no coach, and a roster that needed to be severely tweaked, ... And now they're in the Super Bowl. So the reason why I bring that up is now I'm talking to the fans here. For the Patriots, you're just going to do what you do because you've been in this moment so many times. But for the Eagles, because I know a couple of you are probably like, I hate the Patriots. We need to win this game. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the game. And I think that we're going to be now. This is a game that's hard for me because I don't want the Patriots to win because I don't want to see yet again the same team win the Super Bowl over and over and over. But also I would not like to see the Philadelphia Eagles win. I'm not going to be hiding that at all. But I think this is going to be the closest Super Bowl that we've seen in some time. I think this is going to be a game that is close all the way through and not like last year where one team gets up to a big lead, then plays conservative and allows the other team to come back and steal it from them.
And that's the problem. I think we've learned that recently, that if you, whether it's last year's Super Bowl, Jacksonville just lost this game to the Patriots. If you stay conservative in the second half, if you play not to lose, you're going to lose. You have to play to win all the way out. And that's something
to win the game.
That's something I think Philadelphia is going to do. Ricky, the over-under is 48. You going to take it?
Yes. That
Going
means
over?
24-24.
Yeah.
I'll go over that all day.
It's pretty safe, right?
Yeah, I'll
like
go
pretty
over that
safe.
all day. Like, I mean, you look at the last few Super Bowls that we've had. Last year's was over. I'm looking right now at the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots. That one was over. Super Bowl 50 was, 34 points. I think you said 24 is the over-under or 48?
48.
48 is the over-under.
If it was 24, that'd be pretty sad.
Yeah, I'll take what's the line? Do you have the line in front of you for this game? Not the over-under?
I don't. I just had the over-under.
Okay. ESPN has the line at New England -4. On the Monday before Super Bowl Sunday, I mean, that's a pretty close line. Like,
it is.
That is, I think that if the Patriots win this game, I could see it again being a field goal situation, kind of like what we used to see with Adam Vinatieri kicking the final field goal, but this time it'd be Steven Gostkowski.
And to any Patriots fans out there who feel like maybe we talk about the Eagles more, because honestly, let's be real. If the Patriots win this Super Bowl, not a single person in the world is surprised.
No.
We're expecting them to win. Yeah, we're expecting the Patriots to win. It's really just coming down to can the Eagles do an upset? And it's an upset, but the Eagles are a really good team, and they have everything they need to be able to do it. But the Patriots, they've been here, they've done that. They can do it one more time because they're the Patriots. It's Tom Brady, it's Bill Belichick.
The thing I relate it to on that side of where you said, like, the Eagles were expecting them to win it
Patriots.
is, well, the Patriots,
Yeah.
where we're expecting them to win it. I relate it to growing up the Yankees in my childhood. The Yankees in the 90s. Every time they made it to the playoffs, it was just expected that they were going to win. Like, and you were shocked. Like, the year that Boston came back 3-0, shocked because the Yankees don't lose. Like, the powerhouse, which is the Yankees, does not lose. And that's kind of what you expect from the Patriots, especially when you have the best quarterback in the league. It's kind of like Michael Jordan. By the last 3 finals, maybe the last 2 finals, we were all expecting him to win that 5th and 6th, but the Jazz still had to make it a series. That's what the Eagles have to do. Go ahead and make this a game. And that's why, to me, the most important part of this game will be when Tom Brady and that offense are on the field and that Eagles defense is on the field. Because if that Eagles defense can do, I'm going to say 75%, maybe even half of what they did to the Viking defense, they'll be in good shape. If they can do exactly what they did against the Viking offense, then they'll be in really good shape and could possibly win the Super Bowl in Minnesota.
Well, I hope so, because, I mean, Minnesota only scored 7 points. Tom Brady only scores 7 points. You better beat him.
Well, and what I'm saying is more so I'm going back and I'm harping on it because I always do, turnovers.
Yeah.
Are you going to force Tom Brady to make a mistake? Are you going to force one of the running backs to make a mistake, one of the wide receivers to make a mistake? Because the longer the game goes and the closer it is, Doug Peterson has proven this year that he's a pretty good coach. But the longer this game goes and the closer it is, you got to give that edge to Bill Belichick and that Patriot team that they're not going to make a mistake when we get closer to the end of the fourth quarter.
Tom Brady just doesn't. I mean, especially in the playoffs. He doesn't make mistakes. So there's no reason to expect that this time he will. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you really have to force him to make a dumb mistake. And that's why part of me, I'm thinking you can't count on the mistakes or anything like that. You can't count on getting an interception or a fumble. It'd be great if you could, but you can't expect something like that to happen. So what you got to do is you just got to hit him a lot. Just hit him a lot. That's really, as a defense, that's what you can kind of hang your hat on of, well, we might not be able to make Tom Brady fumble. We might not be able to make him make a dumb mistake, but we sure can hit him a lot and make him kind of flinch a little bit.
And here's the example I'm going to use of not necessarily go out there trying to be like Peanut Tillman and punch that ball loose, but a little swing in the Jacksonville game that New England won 2 weeks ago is the Jaguars kick a field goal in I want to say this is the third quarter. They go up 20-10. That next Patriots possession, on the third play of it, Myles Jack gets a strip fumble. He gets the fumble. The Jaguars have the ball. And you're probably thinking, this is where you make the Patriots pay. Put the foot on the throat, choke them out, don't let them get back up. What do the Jaguars do? 3 and out, and they punt. New England comes down, scores a touchdown. It's a 2017 game. The Eagles cannot, and I'm not saying they necessarily will, because let's be completely honest, I have a little bit more faith, even though I've doubted him the last 2 games, I have more faith in this Eagle offense than I do in the Jaguar offense to not go 3 and out after a moment like that. But that's the type of moment you have to, if you get a fumble, a freak fumble, and you get the recovery, take advantage of it, because
every
right
opportunity
there,
you have.
3 and out punt, Patriots then go 8 plays down. What was that? 86 yards, 7 points, made it a 2017 game.
Yep. Got a first seed versus a first seed here. It's going to be fun. These are supposed to be the 2 best teams in the NFL.
And the one thing that I was thinking about earlier today is when they being the Eagles, when the Eagles had Carson Wentz, the thing that I told you, and I think this was during our who has the better chance to make the Super Bowl, the Steelers or the Eagles, I said the one team I would be afraid of in the playoffs was the Eagles. And I remember you saying, you don't have to be afraid of the Eagles. But I was like, but I am. Then Carson Wentz went down, and I was like, woo, we do not have to worry about the Eagles.
And then I told you, let me tell you about my man Nick Foles over here.
Nick Foles, man. Why do we have to worry about him?
Well, it's as good as Peyton Manning, so
I'm not saying that I'm a true believer in Nick Foles, but I will say in this game, I'm not necessarily going to be like I have been in the past and say, well, Nick Foles is in this game, the Patriots have it in the back.
Yeah. I don't doubt it. I'm ready to
make that pick?
I think I am. I've gone back and forth on it because there's a lot of me that wants to pick the Philadelphia Eagles. And you might be able to tell I'm kind of rooting a little bit for the Philadelphia Eagles only because I like the underdog. If I don't really care either way for a team, I almost always will root for the underdog, obviously. Who doesn't love that? But when it comes to a Super Bowl and Eli's not there, I can't pick against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. It really, for me, is that simple. And I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't necessarily know that it'll be as close as some are going to believe. I do think one possession, but I think I'm going to really stretch out what one possession means here.
You're going to say a touchdown.
Yep, touchdown game. And I think it will come down to the fourth quarter. But 35 35-28 New England Patriots.
You said 35-28?
Yep.
I'm going with the Patriots to win. It's just what score am I going to pick? I think this is going to be a close game. Do I think the Eagles have a chance to win this game? I do. But I think I'm going to lean towards the Patriots at a 27-24. That's what I'm going to lean at. 27-24. We just get the over.
Yep.
On the over-under, Patriots -4. They get that. They don't get the over on that. You get the push potentially for the line, I believe. But I think that's what I'm going to do, 27-24. And the thing I looked up, the last time these two teams met, the Patriots in this game are going to be wearing their white jerseys. Guess what jerseys they were wearing all the way back in 2004? White. Their white jerseys. So, might not bode well for the Eagles in this one, but this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What are you thinking about this game? Who's your picks? And what's going to happen this upcoming Sunday for the Super Bowl in Minnesota? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But Mark, let's move on into our next discussion, and we are taking a look at the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason why we're looking at the Colts is they intend to hire the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots, Josh McDaniels, following this Sunday, following a Super Bowl win or a Super Bowl loss for McDaniels and the Patriots. I want to ask this question just to start the segment out right. Can McDaniels turn the Colts back into winners?
Well, I think he can. I do believe it. And I think that McDaniels is one of the hot coaching candidates. Mm-hmm. And him going to Indianapolis, I think really kind of gives me some faith that things are going well with Andrew Luck. He is healing. He is going to be ready. He's going to be out there to play. Probably not day one of the season next year, but he'll be back. Mm-hmm. He is coming back. And I think this just kind of shores me up on that because you're saying the hot coaching candidate decided, yes, I am confident that I can go here. The one thing that I would say he missed out on in Denver, I mean, there's some other stuff too, but one thing he really, really missed out on in Denver, quarterback. He had Randy Orton, Kyle Orton. It's because of all that wrestling talk before. Kyle Orton.
Before the podcast, Sean was in here. We were talking about Ronda Rousey, and then you and I continued to talk wrestling. So a little RKO for the Broncos.
From the good old days of the Attitude Era. But they had Kyle Orton. They had Tim Tebow. Mm-hmm. Would anyone call either one of those guys a quarterback?
No. Well, I'm looking at it right here. 2009, Kyle Orton started 15 games. Chris Sims started 1. 2010, his second year, Kyle Orton started 13 games. Tim Tebow started 3.
Yeah.
Before Tim Tebow had the job then for most of the games during the John Fox opening year.
Although, when did Tim Tebow come in?
Tim Tebow came in that year. I think it was 2011 was week? His rookie year. He would have came in week 14 because it was 13-4.
I think I might need to correct that. I don't think he was there. Josh McDaniels wasn't there when he started playing.
Josh McDaniels was there in 2009 and 2010.
Yeah, but I think he got fired before Tim Tebow played. Okay.
So he never played Tebow. But he got fired. Tebow was on the team then.
Because he only made it to I think week 12, week 13.
Okay. So he never played Tebow, but Tebow played those final 3 games. Mostly Kyle Orton was his starter though.
Yeah.
And the thing that I look at with Josh McDaniels is that Denver team, he didn't have a quarterback like Andrew Luck. If Andrew Luck is 100% healthy, this Colts team is going to be back to a winning team. Like that first year that McDaniels was there, the Broncos were 8-8 and finished what? They finished 10th, 9th or 10th in the AFC playoff standings.
Second in the division.
Second in the division, but they were well out of the playoffs. And then the next year they finished 4-12.
Yeah.
And that was the year he got fired. They finished last in their division and were tied for the worst record in the AFC that year.
And I think it's interesting to note as well that one of the things that McDaniels is known for in Denver is benching Brandon Marshall. The wide receiver Brandon Marshall, not the other Brandon Marshall,
who will be or was on his team when he was in Denver, I believe. Unless he came into regardless, the wide receiver Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall, as we all remember, I don't want to say he was like a hothead necessarily, but he got into disciplinary issues. So he gets benched, and this is a Pro Bowl wide receiver that's getting benched. So I feel like the Josh McDaniels era in Denver was kind of doomed to begin with
because he had all the hotheads.
Yeah, he had some issues with player personnel. He had some trouble with, of course, they had their quarterback of the future. Quarterback of the future ends up getting traded to Chicago. You now have Kyle Orton. It just was not a good situation. It was not a situation, a recipe for success. And I like to make fun of McDaniels because he was there during the time that Tim Tebow was there, and I just find it funny. Because we all like to make fun of Tim Tebow a little bit. But, you just look at it and you're like, I don't think we can really count the Denver days against him.
No, I'm not counting them against him because, although I use this as kind of an example, it's not an exact one of, Elway wasn't the general manager when McDaniels was there, but that season, Elway was in talks to become the general manager, was then in 2011. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Elway was like, hey, when I'm GM, I'm getting rid of this guy. And then the Broncos were like, well, fuck it, we'll just do it for you. The owner's like, fuck it, we'll just do it for you. And then they cut him out because they were 4-12 that year with McDaniels. But Kyle Orton wasn't a prime quarterback. You had the issues with Brandon Marshall's and like you said, having to bench him. This Colt team, I believe, is in a lot better of a state in that sense than the Broncos were in. You have Andrew Luck, who, when healthy, I would say arguably top 5 quarterback in the league.
I don't think there's anybody arguing it.
I know, but there were some people like Brady. You put Brady, Breeze, Andrew Luck. I'm trying to think. You're
thinking Rodgers. You might want to throw Russell Wilson in there.
Maybe Russell Wilson, Eli Manning. Some people would, but arguably top 5 quarterback in the league would definitely be to me a tier 1 quarterback in the league right now. You have weapons for him, especially a big one in T.Y. Hilton, who's good with him. The only thing that I think he'd need to shore up on the offense is the run game. Are you going to re-sign Frank Gore? Are you going to bring him back? Let him go? Are you going to bring someone else in? That, to me, is one of the questions. That and the O-line are two of the things you have to shore up. Because for the past few years, you've had Chris Ballard go defense to try to get this defense shored up for the Colts.
Hasn't been working yet. But
No, but let's be honest. When you don't have Andrew Luck out there, the defense is going to be out there a lot more than they should. Plus the injuries to the secondary. I know Vonta Davis, he was supposed to come back and then didn't because he's like, I'm not going to re-injure myself for this team.
Smart move.
Of a situation. So, really the biggest hothead he might have to deal with is Jim Irsay. That's the only hothead that he'll probably have to deal with the Colts.
Yeah, and I think that it's a tough battle for McDaniels. He's got to go out there and get himself top quality defensive coordinator. That's what he needs. He needs somebody who can just take that and build this defense up with him and kind of take ownership of that defense a little bit. That's going to be so crucial to success because this is one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. And yeah, sure, they're playing a lot. Injuries were out there, but Andrew Luck's not going to be out there day one. So this defense is going to get tested early again. So you need to be able to build them back up, get them into playing shape. I think if anything, I know I've been saying that go offensive line in the draft, but part of me leans towards just go with Barkley. Draft your running back. Nice and early.
I was going to bring that up because there's an article on ESPN that says, it's talking more so on the Browns, could Browns derail Colts draft plans of taking Saquon at number 1?
They certainly could, but they put it out there, we're drafting a quarterback. I think the Browns are drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Colts, if you take a running back, you pair him, and he's supposed to be the best one in the draft. You pair him up with your top 5 quarterback. when he comes back and he's healthy, you got receiving weapons out there. It's not like there's nothing for Andrew Luck to throw the ball to. Sure, the offensive line can get better, but you can start to piece some of that together too. I don't think this is a 1 year and we're going to the Super Bowl kind of thing. But I definitely do think that when Andrew Luck comes back, this is a team that can make a big splash and start heading into the playoffs again and become this annual contender that they were when he was there.
Right now I'm reading an article that's very interesting because on ESPN it says the headline of the article is "Pressure is on Colts GM Chris Ballard with Josh McDaniels." And it's an interesting point because they mention how, according to Adam Schefter, that they're going to hire Josh McDaniels. It says here there will be pressure on McDaniels because he's going to have to be in charge of coaching the players, but there's going to be even more pressure on Ballard, who spent his first season cleaning house with the roster and analyzing the coaching staff. The Colts, who haven't been to the playoffs since 2014, must take a step forward after finishing 4-12 this last season. Then they talk about his contract, but the interesting part, and you kind of hit on this earlier, Ballard is hitching his wagon to a coach who clashed with players and coaches during his unsuccessful go-around as head coach of Denver. He was 11-17 as the coach of the Broncos before being fired halfway through the 2010 season. One difference this time is McDaniels won't be in charge of personnel decisions. That is Ballard's department. Here's the one question I have for McDaniels is we've seen already, besides I'd have to double check on the Ram days, but so far he's been a head coach in one situation. Everywhere else he's been a coordinator or the assistant to the head coach. In most of those places, except for 3 years, he's had the best quarterback in the league in Tom Brady. So to me, I wonder if this is going to be a situation of if we're looking at McDaniels to where it's like, you know what, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt now. You're going to probably have Andrew Luck compared to Kyle Orton that you had in Denver. But could this be an issue of we're looking at this at the end of this and we're just like, man, Josh McDaniels, just not a head coach. He's a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally possible.
There are coaches that we look at to where it's like, man, that guy, he should just probably go back to being a coordinator because he is not fit to be a head coach.
The hard thing, too, when you look at 2011, it was a really bad year for St. Louis. I mean, that was the year where they were worst team in the NFL. I believe that was the sophomore year for Sam Bradford. So it was not that great of a year. And then he ended up back over as a quarterbacks coach for New England, offensive coordinator for New England.
You are 100% correct. Bradford played 10 games. AJ Feely played third, and Kellen Clemens played 3 games.
So it was not a good go-around. You know, it could just be one of these things where, honestly, you leave New England and things don't work out well for you.
Well, I mean, and that's like, I'm looking at it of, yes, it's true that he won't have to deal with player personnel because that'll be on Ballard's department. Maybe that'll help with the clashing
Certainly
with players.
Could. But you're still going to have to deal with them.
Clashing with players, you'll still have to deal with them. But to me, the worst thing is clashing with coaches. These are supposed to be the guys that you are building a staff. You are bringing these guys in.
Yeah.
So if you've clashed with coaches that you've brought in before, that makes me very uneasy right now. And part of me, and I'm going to ask this question, is, I mean, they asked the question of, is McDaniels a good coach or just a product of Bill Belichick's system in New England? The question I want to ask you is, did the Colts wait too long on the head coach? Because we've seen throughout the whole thing, the Titans very quickly went for Vrabel, very quickly got Vrabel.
Yeah.
The Giants pretty much, they did the Rams thing, fire their guy mid-season. Now we're going to go ahead and do our due diligence. They go and get Shermer. You see like Wilkes going to Arizona. All these pieces are falling to where the Colts are probably like, shit, we waited too long. We got to grab someone.
No,
Here's
I don't think that's it at all. I don't think that was it.
Because originally McDaniels was rumored to be the next Giant head coach.
Sure. But they wanted an offensive guy. They want a guy who can work with Andrew Luck, which I think, I don't know, I like the idea of going with the defensive guy. Personally, I said that before. But I don't blame him on this at all. I think what comes down for Josh McDaniels to me when it comes to clashing with players and coaches, he was in his young 30s. You know, this was, what, 8 years ago when he got hired? It's been a long time. So he was a young guy then. He is now in his young 40s. I'm sure he has learned a lot. He's gotten back under Bill Belichick. Hopefully that's kind of showed him the correct way to deal with things. He could have been the young hothead who's like, I worked under Belichick. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you guys my way or the highway, and it didn't happen for him.
You know who's an example I'll use from the college side of that? Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, when he was Tennessee, how he left there, when he was at USC, got that head coaching job at USC, didn't go that well, then goes and works for Nick Saban under him. Now he's at Florida Atlantic, and I know it's only one season, but it looks like he's A, learned from his mistakes as a head coach, and B, learned some things from Nick Saban. So, I mean, it's kind of a yin and yang, and no one can predict how Josh McDaniels is going to be as the Colts' next head coach. However, to me, is that question right now, especially in my mind, of will Josh McDaniels be that coach we look at the end of this tenure in Indianapolis and go, he's just not a head coach.
It's totally possible.
He's just not a head coach, and he's totally going to be just he should just stay to a coordinator. Because, I mean, you look at right now, the last Patriot offensive coordinator to leave was Bill O'Brien. And I believe he left to go to college, and then now he's back in the NFL. But, I mean, look at how Bill O'Brien is going right now in Houston. This year, I kind of want to give him a pass because injuries on defense and injuries to your star rookie quarterback kind of derailed their season. But it hasn't been all sunshines and lollipops for O'Brien in Houston.
Yeah, and I think that it'll be interesting to see because the flip side of it, people might want to say, well, yeah, I mean, look at his success. It's been with Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, so, I mean, people might want to say that when he had a chance to work with Kyle Orton, when he had a chance to work with Sam Bradford, things didn't go so well. So this will be a telling year, 2, maybe even 3 years for Josh McDaniels and what his legacy is going to be going forward. That's for sure. Here's
a question I want to ask you, and this will kind of trickle into our next segment. Is today we got a tweet at Most Valuable Podcast from at 3RI3 Adams, and he said this. He kind of asked about the Giants, and he said, but on a different team, the Colts. Do you think Josh, being Josh McDaniels, could pull a Denver and trade Luck and draft Tebow 2.0 minus Jesus and Allen? So what he's basically saying is that, do you see the Colts trading Andrew Luck to try to say, not for Allen, but we're going to trade Andrew Luck. He's not 100% healthy. We're not dealing with that headache, kind of like what they did with Peyton Manning almost, and go with a guy like Josh Allen or any rookie quarterback at number 3.
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's going for Erie in his Twitter handle because of the lake. But I don't think so. To me, you have Andrew Luck. You have a once-in-a-generation quarterback. And it's interesting. And this is not the thing that I'm addressing when I'm saying this, but I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. We've all just kind of forgot about how good Andrew Luck was. You know, when he was out there, he was a phenomenal quarterback. It was upsetting to many in the AFC or in football in general that they went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck over there in Indianapolis. That was just too good of luck. You know, it's going from
I see what you did there.
Right? It's going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It's just not fair. It's what the Patriots were supposed to do.
Jimmy go. I'm sorry, that didn't work out.
It's what they were supposed to do. You can't pass that up. I mean, I understand the fear because of injuries, and maybe that's a thing, but you just can't pass it up. What are you going to do with Andrew Luck in that case? You know, you're just going to trade him to another team who's going to be thanking you for the rest of their their franchise history
like,
because they got to then win a couple Super Bowls.
I mean, look at Peyton Manning for a prime example, where it's like Jim Irsay, we're getting rid of him because of the next situation.
Well, because of Andrew Luck.
Yeah, but really, like, if Andrew Luck wasn't there at number 1, then they would have kept Peyton Manning. But
yeah, that's my
point. They got rid of him, and look at Denver. Thanks for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We got 1. That's all. As long as you get 1, it worked.
Yeah, exactly. They're happy.
Could have got 2, but the Seahawks demolished you in that first one.
Yeah. The difference is that Peyton Manning was an old quarterback. Andrew Luck is still young. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. He'll still get to that in a couple years.
No, I'm on the same wavelength as you. You do not trade Andrew Luck. You keep him. Hopefully what you're banking on is that because Ballard is going to be dealing with more of the personnel choices for the Patriots, McDaniels doesn't have to focus on that, can focus on the X's and O's. Sure. Will get a top 5 quarterback to work with instead of the Kyle Orton that he had to work with when he was in Denver, and hopefully could get a Saquon Barkley because the Browns don't draft him number 1 overall to be the guy behind Andrew Luck in the backfield and give you a receiving back who can also run the ball. Before we move on to Josh Allen, though, any final thoughts about the Colts or Josh McDaniels?
The only other thing I would say is I understand why some people might think that maybe Josh McDaniels will want to get his own guy. He'll want to get his quarterback. But without a doubt, I think Andrew Luck was the selling point to be in Indianapolis because there's not anything else. There's really not much else in Indianapolis where you're like, yes, I want to be there over anywhere else.
You're telling me Jim Irsay is not the selling point?
No, God, no.
You get to work with Jim Irsay? I mean, that's a pretty good selling point. Am I wrong?
If anything, that was that's the weighing of Andrew Luck, Jim Irsay. I don't know. It was a tough battle, but yeah, I think that this can be something good.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. Can Josh McDaniels turn the Colts back into winners? And what do you think of the Josh McDaniels signing? Let us know what you guys think down below. He hasn't signed yet, but it's pretty sure he's going to be the head coach of the Colts. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But Mark, let's move into our final topic of the podcast, and we're going back to the NFL draft. We haven't had a topic like this in quite some time, I believe, since our mock draft that we did, and we're going to be doing another mock draft in a couple of weeks. I believe it's February 16th is the day we'll be recording that one, but we're looking at the 2018 NFL draft, and we're looking at a prospect that we haven't looked at quite yet. We did the same thing for Baker Mayfield earlier. We're looking for best fits for Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. Kid just played in the Senior Bowl, had a really good second half in that Senior Bowl, but more importantly, the reason why we're bringing this up is over the weekend, the Baltimore Ravens came out, and this is at Albright NFL, Benjamin Albright, said, source suggests Ravens would be interested in Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen if he is available at 16. Now, it's funny that this comes out because I was just thinking this weekend, who's going to be the faller? Every single draft, we have a faller. We have a guy. Some might think, Johnny Manziel. Some might think Brady Quinn. Some might think Geno Smith. Some might think Laramie Tunsil. Every year we have a faller, it seems. So this wouldn't surprise me if he falls to 16. But more importantly, I'll kick it off to you. Give me a team who is a best fit for Josh Allen at quarterback.
This one's interesting to me. Josh Allen, I think, definitely had something kind of he had no control over really be a good thing for him. And that was with Baker Mayfield. There was the whole question for these guys with the Senior Bowl. Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, which one of these guys is going to rise? Which one of these guys are going to fall?
Baker almost didn't play. He almost said, no, I'm not going to play.
And when he did play, he really didn't do much of anything. He didn't necessarily lower his draft stock, but he just kind of left it there hanging. Josh Allen, yes, he had that rough first half, but he got back in the second half and really showed people that, even with adversity, he can come back. He can still be successful. Josh Allen did a lot for himself. Baker Mayfield didn't do much of anything. So people who are debating which one of these guys is number 3, even if some people want to say which guy is number 2, I think that Josh Allen put himself, easily above Baker Mayfield right now. And maybe that Some people will be upset by me saying that, but I do think he just put himself in a lot of GM's minds above Baker Mayfield, who didn't do really anything in the Senior Bowl.
Then give me a team. Who would he fit with?
What I'm going to say is I'm going to say the Jets.
Okay.
I like him going to the Jets.
Okay.
And I think before I might have said that Baker Mayfield to the Jets. I might have had that, or at least was thinking about it in the mock drafts before. I know that we want to say that Elway really loves him, and therefore Denver, because they're right before the New York Jets. But I like this for the Jets. I think the Jets have nice receiving options out there. Their defense, it's better than a lot of people think that this defense is. It's a nice safety net for him to be in, to not have to be an amazing quarterback day one, but to kind of ease his way in. There's not really a lot of competition out there, but they could re-sign a veteran to kind of, like I said, get that safety net so that way Josh Allen doesn't have to start day one. It can be a Mike Glennon type of situation of let him play until he sucks and then let the young kid come in. I think that could be something that would certainly work. The problem with the Jets is they need to kind of retool the run game in order for a young quarterback to be successful.
You had Josh Allen last mock draft. I had him at number 4 to the Broncos. You had him 13 to the Redskins. So that's where we had Josh Allen right there. The one team, and I'm going to go with my shock team at the beginning. After watching, because I'm starting to dive into the film a little bit more in February and throughout basically February to the draft. Going to be doing film breakdowns again, so I'm diving into some of this film a little bit more in depth. And with Josh Allen, the thing that I noticed that he's really good at is play faking on play action. He has a skill that I have not seen in quite some time did he hand the ball off? Nope. He slickly kept it to himself. And I know that defenses at the next level are not going to bite on that as easy and are not going to get fooled by that easy, but you could trick some defenses at the next level with those skills. The team that I was thinking of, and I know this is going to sound crazy because I mocked Mel Kiper for making this pick in his last mock draft. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns thought about Josh Allen. Because you know what we just talked about in the last topic of, what if the Browns go Saquon Barkley? What if the Browns are thinking to themselves, you know what? We like Josh Allen. Nobody's going to take Josh Allen at 2 or 3. The Giants won't take him. The Colts won't take him. We could take Saquon at 1, get our running back, then at 4, get a Josh Allen. And the only thing that makes this not the absolute best fit is because I don't think Josh Allen's a guy you start day one. I don't think he is. I think he's a guy, if he sat the first full year in the NFL, I think it would be like a Goff situation where he could come out second year and be a lot better. But I just think in my head, Hugh Jackson wants to be a run offense. So why not go and grab the guy at number 1 that's going to help you do that in Saquon Barkley? You get your running back of the future, number 1. Then you go ahead and get the guy at number 4 with your next pick, barring the Giants or Colts taking him over Darnold or Rosen. However, the Browns would be happy with either one of those at 4. You could then go and get Allen at 4, a guy who is amazing on the play action, can throw on the run. The only thing that I kind of question with Allen is his accuracy and his decision-making. However, you can work on accuracy, and the quarterback guru that you have at head coach, the self-proclaimed quarterback guru, could probably help him on his decision-making.
A dangerous thing for Josh Allen is that he's got a cannon arm. And he's a guy who trusts
tremendous
his
arm strength.
Yeah, he trusts that arm. And if he's going to a team where they're going to need him to be just this dink and dunk accurate guy, you're going to run into some trouble. Yeah. If he's going to go to a team where they're going to let him kind of unleash a little bit and let him sling it.
Which could work in Cleveland.
Let him be a gunslinger. I like that idea. And, really, I think that even though people would kind of laugh at Cleveland, I think, for going that route, it's a very smart move. You get the best running back and you get the quarterback that you like. The dangerous thing for that is, damn, is that a muddy quarterback field. With Kaiser, who you just took last year, didn't really work that well.
It's just
now,
Kaiser and Allen in my mind then. It's just Kaiser and Allen. Kessler's then pushed to the side.
He would have to be, but it's still muddy. Because, I mean, it's not like you went out and you grabbed Darnold or Rosen, the surefire thing.
Josh Allen, who's the project.
Yeah, exactly. You drafted a guy who has a little bit of work going into it. It would be tough.
Here's another thing, though, to think about, and this is just me trying to sell this a little bit.
Sure.
All of this is also predicated on them taking Saquon at number 1.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be your bell cow. When Hugh Jackson came in, he said, we got to run the ball better. I believe even like 3 games into 2016, he's like, we got to run the ball better. How do you do that? You get the best player and the best running back in this field at number 1. Also, I could just see it right now. Play action to Saquon, gets the defense to bite because Saquon will be good at the next level, and then you've got Gordon and Coleman going deep. Turn Coleman into that deep threat we thought he was going to be coming out of college. We know Josh Gordon can be that deep threat, and I can see it right now. Just Allen lofting it up, arm strength all the way out to Josh Gordon for some big touchdowns.
Sure. It's all, like you said, it all depends on having that good run game. You don't have that run game developed, it's not going to work out for you at all.
Let me ask you this. The team that we mentioned earlier, what if he does fall to 16? Could he be a good fit for the Ravens?
I think he could, because for the Ravens, he's not going to play for a while.
Because you got Wacko Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's there. Joe Flacco's not going to lose that job for a while. The dangerous side of that, too, is Joe Flacco's not going to lose that job for a while. This isn't a Paxton Lynch. You drafted him so he could sit a year and then play. That didn't happen either. That would turn into almost like a Jimmy Garoppolo situation.
And Flacco's under contract for 3 more seasons. Well, he's under contract for, 4 more. He's got 18, 19, 20, 21, and then he's a free agent in 22.
Yeah, so you're almost running into the Tom Brady situation with Jimmy G, which is totally possible. You can make it work. I mean, you have a 5th-year option.
However, there is a potential out after 2019.
Yeah.
So you could go 2 years potential out, cut your losses, and go with Josh Allen if you're seeing hey, we're going to get rid of you early rather than late.
Yeah. And it's totally possible. I mean, who knows what happens? Looking 4 years in the future, 3 years in the future even, you don't know. Joe Flacco could just completely fall off the face of the earth. Not saying that he will. I'm just saying anything is possible. So I think the Ravens is more of I think that comment is yeah, sure. I mean, if he's there, we'll think about it.
Especially
I don't think it's anything
if it's
too convincing.
He's a guy that we've had mocked. I know you had him at 13 the last one, but we've had him mocked top 5, top 6 kind of a quarterback, but that may be necessarily because of the teams that we got there.
Not necessarily not that he is a top 5 player, just that there's like 4 teams that need quarterback in the top 5.
What's another team that
2 of them are Cleveland.
What's another team that you were personally thinking about? I know I threw the Ravens on you, but what's another team you were thinking, hey, Josh Allen's here, pretty good.
Yeah, I do like also to talk about falling back. I do like an Arizona possibility.
Really?
I do.
That's one where I'm not really sold on it because he'd have to start right away.
But the thing that I like about it is you have a defensive-minded coach who's going to come in there with a defense that's already good.
You do have David Johnson coming back.
And then, run game. You've got Larry Fitzgerald, who maybe is going to play next year. There's enough pieces there to where he can come in and he can be good to start off with. And I think having the defensive-minded coach is actually a good thing in this case because you know that he's going to have a good defense that will help him out, bail him out. They will be the one that gives him plenty of time to work out there. I think that's a good benefit to have.
Here's another one I'm going to throw out here. And like Arizona, you're talking me into it. Let me double or nothing you here or raise you this team. If he falls past the Jets, let's say he falls out of the top 10, falls past the Redskins. Let's say at 14, Buffalo Bills pick up the phone. Hey, Green Bay, what do you want for your pick? Because we want Josh Allen. Buffalo would be a similar one. You got you got Shady McCoy there. You've got Calvin Benjamin as your number 1 wide receiver. From what we know, I get people are like, but Ricky, they have Nathan Peterman. Have you seen Nathan Peterman this year?
I don't think a single person said, Ricky, they have Nathan Peterman.
Do you think he's the answer? Because I don't think he's the answer. Plus, we all know the Bills hate Tyrod Taylor and want to get him out of town as soon as possible. What if the Bills traded up for him to either leapfrog the Ravens or the Cardinals?
I mean, I could see it happening if they trade up. I mean, I don't necessarily know that he'll get all the way back there. But yeah, it's another good situation where he'll have pieces around him. I don't know if I trust the upper echelons in Buffalo, only because of the way they disrespected and treated Tyrod Taylor. But if they're going and getting the guy, they're probably pretty happy with him and Josh Allen, so he'll probably have a better luck of it. All this guy really needs is a good running back and hopefully a good wide receiver to throw the ball to, and that's going to let him out there. Now, the dangerous thing before, you mentioned the completion percentage. It's scary because your completion percentage doesn't get better when you enter the NFL. Very rarely does that happen. Usually it goes down.
Because the defenses get better.
Yeah, so it's starting, at what, 56? Doesn't have much room to go down.
Well, and I mean, the thing, and this is another thing that this plays into decision making. When I've been watching him and kind of dissecting his film, the thing that I saw from him is, at first when I looked at it, I wanted to say, because I was kind of thinking player comp in my head.
Yeah.
At first I'm like, this kid's got a little bit of Brett Favre in him. Meaning, gunslinger, guys triple covered, fuck it, I'm going to throw it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Or I'm bootlegging out to the side, I'm not throwing it out of bounds, I'm going to try to hit my receiver with this strong arm. And there were some where I know Josh Jackson, cornerback at Iowa, made him pay for this. In the Boise game, he got paid for this. And a safety from Utah State also made him pay for this, of rolling out, looking down one receiver. There was one that he even pump faked too. He pumped and then threw it, and the safety still came over and said, nope, not falling for that pump, interception.
Yeah.
So, I look at that and I go, in my head, I'm thinking of the top guys. You go against a Jalen Ramsey, who is one of the best corners in the game. I don't care what Hayward from Los Angeles says. You also have, if he goes up against the Vikings, Harrison Smith and Sendejo and Rhodes and Waynes, they'll have a field day with Josh Allen if he keeps doing that. That is a big concern with him, is that when he played higher level teams in college, he didn't play that well. Well, when you go to the NFL, competition only goes up. It doesn't go down.
Yep. It's going to be tough of a transition. I think this is a quarterback that can work in the NFL. He needs the right situation. That's what it comes down to. This isn't a number one overall. Doesn't matter where he's going. He's going to make that team better. That's not what's going on here. He needs a good team to be a part of.
Let me ask you this. Twofold question.
Okay.
Number one, could you look into your crystal ball and see Josh Allen falling completely out of the first round?
Yeah.
Second off, do you think that's going to happen? That was not part of the question. Just, do you think it's going to happen? That he falls completely out of the first round? No, I think
somebody will probably take him in the first round, even if it's a team having to trade up.
Here is part two. Without trades right now, just based off of the draft order,
yeah,
the lowest he falls, the lowest team he'll fall to. What's going to be the team that goes, we can't pass him up here?
Probably Buffalo.
Buffalo?
Yeah.
I got one team below that I could see drafting him. The Vikings. If he gets to, I'm not saying he's going to be, but if he gets to 30, the Vikings could sit there and go, we're not really sold on Case Keenum. We don't know if Teddy Bridgewater's going to come back. He's a guy that is really good at play action. I mean, come on. We've got Dalvin Cook coming back, and we've got Latavius Murray and McKinnon. We've got the backfield for him. We've got the wide receivers and the tight end for him to throw to. We just got to work with him for a year? Oh, wait, that's right. We franchise tag Case Keenum. Let's go ahead and draft Josh Allen. If he gets to 30, that's the last team that I think would go. There's no way he falls past 30 in my mind, especially if the Vikings franchise tag Case Keenum and keep him around for another year. Sit him for the full year. Go ahead, then have Josh Allen be the guy to take over after another kind of gap year with Case Keenum. However, I think the absolute best fits for him, and I'll do mine first, and then you'll do yours to end this. My absolute best fits, either the Ravens at 16, or I'm going to say the Redskins at 13 if they franchise tag Kirk Cousins. My mindset is Josh Allen needs to sit 1 year. Needs to sit, needs to learn the speed of the game, needs to learn to make better decisions at the NFL level before you just go ahead and throw him in there. Could he be successful in Arizona, a Buffalo? Yes, but best fit, either a Ravens or a Redskins with Kirk Cousins. How about you?
If I'm going to go purely on the he's going to sit and learn for a little bit, my best fit's the New York Giants.
Well, it's whatever you think. Do you think he's going to have to sit? Do you think he can play out?
I think he's going to end up playing right out, whether right or wrong. But if he was going to have to sit somewhere, New York's the best place to do it. For the Giants, my best one, even though I said the Jets first, I'm going to say the best place for him really is Arizona. I think that's a great place to be for any young quarterback because there's such a great safety net for you to where you can be successful and you just have a great team and a good coach around you.
I mean, and the thing that you sold me a little bit on Arizona, they got the defense and they've got the run game, especially David Johnson coming back from injury. Hopefully he'll be back to shape this upcoming year. This is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. What do you think of Josh Allen so far? What do you think of the best fits for him in the NFL? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And also, thank you guys for either watching or listening the Onside Kick this week. A little housekeeping here at the end. Same thing I do at the beginning. Number one, if you like what we're doing here, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Help support the channel. Number two, if you have an iTunes account, you're listening on iTunes, go ahead and give the podcast a 5-star rating. Also, if you want an MVP t-shirt, that information is also down below in the description. And last but not least, go ahead, check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. That's where you'll find everything that we'll ever post. You can go ahead, bookmark it, check it every day. Make sure you never miss any of the Most Valuable Podcast content. I want to thank you guys yet again for either watching on YouTube or listening on any podcast service around the world. But as always, have a good day, everybody.